everybody. I'm so excited to introduce my new podcast, Meds, Vents, and Vibes, a late night chat with a medical mom. If you have seen me on TikTok, I just want to say I love you guys so much. And if you've never seen me before and you're just searching up in podcasts, Medical Mom Podcast, welcome. I'm going to give you guys my little intro and then we're going to get into this. I'm Dominique Woods. I am 22 years old. I'm not 22. I am 23 years old and I am a mom of one very special little girl. She's not special because of her medical complexities. She's special because she's just my perfect little nugget. And I just want to squeeze her until she pops. But anyways, this is going to be my podcast where you guys get the late night vibes of me kind of delirious because I'm kind of exhausted at this point. I've been up all day with my baby, but I am a yapper at soul and I want to yap with you guys. Also, I don't want to edit this podcast too much because I want it to feel like we're having a conversation, like we're sitting down, we're having a chat, we're chit-chatting about our lives, we're catching up like friends, because I have 0 friends that I call on a day-to-day basis, and I have things that I want to talk as girls, as moms, as friends, as vibes, as people. How you doing, friend? How was your day? How are you today? I just want to do a quick introduction of myself because on TikTok I don't really go into too much detail about my background, my history, my life. Like sometimes I do, but not very often do I sit and talk about myself in the past tense because I feel like as a mom, you kind of get lost in the mom part of yourself, that you really don't think too much about yourself before that. And to know me, you have to know a little bit about me as a person. So hi, my name is Dominique Woods. I'm 23 years old. I was born June 18th, 2001. That makes me a Gemini. Grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I have 4 siblings, 3 brothers and 1 sister. And I went to Bowling Green State University and I graduated spring of 2023 with my bachelor's degree in intervention specialist. If you don't know what intervention specialist is, it is special education. I actually graduated when I was about 18 weeks pregnant, and I literally told no one until my graduation where it read on my cap that I was pregnant. And that was actually my first viral video on TikTok, me announcing my pregnancy to college, and everybody wanted reaction videos, but I obviously didn't want to record anybody without their permission, so I had 0 reaction videos. But let's say everybody was shocked, like, how did you hide that? I hid it because I just wore a lot of sweaters. It was winter, so like nobody was like too concerned about me wearing a sweater like all year, all the time. And secondly, like I feel like if you're not online and you're just like a person out in the wild, nobody's gonna walk up to you and say, is that a pregnancy bump? Especially when I was only 18 weeks pregnant. Like it was more like if I said it was a bump, you'd be like, oh, I see it. But if you like didn't know I was pregnant, you're not gonna walk up to me and be like, you're definitely pregnant. Like I just feel like that's not something that happens as much as people think it happens. Always ask me like how I did my senior year in like the last year of student teaching pregnant, and I want to say it was like so hard because like I'd never told my mentor teacher that I was pregnant, and so like I was going through a lot of emotional hormonal things and she expected a lot out of me, and I don't fault her for that. It was my senior year and I was doing my little project for senior year and I did amazing on it actually, but she did not care for me, and that's another story for another day. And I have my own trauma with that, but she did not care for me, and I think maybe she would have had a little bit more uh she would have gave me a little more slack if she knew I was pregnant. But honestly, I didn't want people to know I was pregnant. I didn't want people to feel like they had to give me something because I was pregnant. I wanted to earn it just like everybody else. And that was another reason why I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant. I wanted to be able to graduate with my degree and not have people say, oh, you got handed something because you were pregnant, so we made it easier for you. That I did. I was a straight A student my senior year and I did amazing. And I'm so proud of myself. Maybe we should get into like the nitty gritty of this episode, which is going to be like my pregnancy journey / my birth story. And I want to start by saying I had the easiest pregnancy. I did not throw up. I felt sick and tired just like everybody else, but I did not throw up my first trimester, my second trimester, or my third trimester. I just was tired and sick, and I was able to still like do everything I needed to do as a student to be able to take care of myself. So I am very thankful for that. But yeah, my first couple, I would say the first 18 weeks of my pregnancy were pretty standard. Nothing big happened. We found out she was a girl. We found out, we did the early genetic testing. We found out she didn't have Down syndrome, blah, blah, blah. So I guess we should fast forward until I was 20 weeks pregnant when I found out that Graylin had some complications. Let's start by saying that we went to our 20-week ultrasound, and I have so much anxiety anyways. Like, I was constantly in fear that I was like missing something, or I was having a miscarriage, because like I just have bad anxiety, and I feel like pregnancy like sparked a new level of anxiety for me. So anyways, we end up going to our 20-week ultrasound, and it was me and her dad, obviously. And they're taking pictures of baby, and the ultrasound tech, she just gets quiet, and she's like, do you know the gender? She trying to keep it lighthearted, but I can tell like the energy was off. And so after the ultrasound, she goes and she's like, okay, I need to talk to the doctor. So she goes to the doctor, and they were gone for like 15-20 minutes. My energy is still like, I'm getting a scared vibe, essentially. So she goes back, and she comes back in our room, and she's like, okay, so our doctor needs to talk to you. And this is standard. The doctor comes and talks to every patient after ultrasound to make sure everything's good. Newsflash, I don't know if that is real, because I know she just needed to say something to keep us calm, but also she needed the doctor to talk to us because something was off about our ultrasound. Ways, they put us to the lobby, and they're like, okay, you have to wait for the doctor because she's in another room delivering a baby. So we go to the waiting room, and we're the only people in the waiting room. And so this lady walks in, and she's pregnant, or I can't remember if she was pregnant or if she was just older and she did like a breast ultrasound or whatever. So she goes and she's like, okay, I'm here for an appointment or whatever. And so the receptionist talking to her, and she's not quiet because we're the only people in the waiting room. And she goes, okay, so we're going to actually have to cancel your appointment with the doctor because we have another couple here, and they had some complications on their ultrasound. So we need her to talk to them first because they're priority. And we're looking around in the waiting room, and it is just us. So I instantly start bursting into tears because I'm like, she's talking about us. Something's wrong with my baby, and nobody's telling me. And then, her dad is obviously trying to calm me down, and he's like, okay, you don't know it's us. Everything could be fine. It's going to be okay. So, anyways, 20 minutes or 15 minutes or something goes by, which felt like eternity. And we get called back to the back finally. And when we get called back to the back, the doctor's talking to me, and she's telling us how this is a small town, and she doesn't see this often, but your daughter has something called CDH. CDH is a congenital diaphragmatic hernia. And this is when your diaphragm has a hole in it, and so because it has the hole, it's sending some of your organs that are supposed to be in your stomach cavity up to your chest cavity, and they're laying on your lungs. Like, where your lung is supposed to grow and form, there's other organs there, so there's no room for your lung to grow. And she says she can't tell me the severity. She says she can't tell us anything else besides she feels like that is what's going on. Also, there was other diagnoses, but there was other speculations of other things, but I'm obviously those are irrelevant to the story, so I don't need to talk about those. Instantly just sobbed. Like, I couldn't do anything but sob. I felt so defeated and so scared. And so her dad and I went home, and we just Googled and looked up everything that had to do with CDH. And I just informed myself because I needed to know if my baby would be okay. But we had to go to our specialty doctor because the doctor we were at was a small town doctor. And she said she doesn't really work with this. She has to refer us to a maternal fetal medicine doctor. And so that is what we did. We had an appointment, we got it set, we did all the ultrasounds, and it was confirmed that my daughter had CDH. Now, when they confirmed that my daughter had CDH, they confirmed that it was left sided. And they say that most of the time, left sided usually has something to do more with genetics. So they, along with it being left sided and the other things that they found on my ultrasound, they decided that it probably would be best to get her genes tested to make sure that she doesn't have anything that is going to affect. I'm so sorry if you guys hear my cat. He has the zoomies right now. It is 1 a.m. It is when he usually gets the zoomies, but his nails scratching on my floor is, it's crazy. Anyways, where was I? Oh, so they were like, we should get the genetics testing, and obviously me and her dad agreed to it because we wanted to make sure we were well informed and can best support our child in any way possible. So we got the genetic testing, and it came out that she was missing a part of her chromosome 9, which was Kleefstra syndrome. And we got her dad tested and myself tested, and I cannot remember the word right now, but it's a word for, it's just by chance this happened. Me and her dad are not carriers, so therefore they were letting us know, obviously the chance of your kid having another kid having this is very, very rare. And if it did happen, they would do some genetic testing on us to further figure out where is it coming from. What I can say though is the amniocentesis was probably the worst pain I ever felt in my life. You get no numbing, no nothing. They just go in with the needle and draw some of your amniotic fluid out. And it's a very long, painful needle, and you have a lot of people staring at you because obviously it's a very risky procedure to stick a needle in with your baby. And so it's like 10 nurses staring at you, and then your partner's there, and then the doctor. It's just a lot, and it's very intense. You have to stay pretty still. So I want to say that was probably worse than labor for me, worse than the contractions, and the contractions were terrible. Ways when we got that diagnosis about her genetic condition, I think I was more focused on the fact that she had like, her physical self was not okay. Like once she left me, like she was okay inside of me, but once she left me, she would need immediate medical intervention. So from that moment on, I was mentally preparing myself to be a NICU mom because I knew that my daughter would have to stay at least the first 4 or 5 weeks of her life in the hospital. What I didn't know is we would end up staying 10 months, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to backtrack. So I was mentally preparing myself because I knew it would be hard. And so I started looking online for people who also knew that they were going to be medical moms or knew that they were going to be NICU moms. And I was searching for people who understood what I was going through. I did end up finding an amazing, amazing friend by posting my videos who also was going through the same situation. And she was like maybe a month and a half behind me. Like she was having a little boy with CDH a month and a half after me. But anyways, that moment on, like my brain just kind of shifted into this, let's make sure that I'm mentally prepared for this journey that I'm about to go through once my daughter is born. Also, I've talked to the doctors and the specialists and the people, and before my daughter was born, a lot of it was unknown. Like we knew that it was leaning towards severe, but not as severe as like ECMO, but it was definitely severe. Like she needed the jet ventilator, so it was definitely severe, but it was not as bad as it could be. And I know I am thankful every single day that we caught her CDH when we did it, because a lot of people don't catch CDH until their baby's born and they don't get any medical intervention as quickly as they need it, and they end up passing away. I am so thankful to the doctors who took care of my baby and made sure that she was all right every single week when I got an ultrasound. But people did not shy away from letting me know that my daughter has a disability that will affect her cognitively. And I was also asked if I wanted to terminate the pregnancy. And obviously, I was about 24 weeks at that point. And to each his own, your body, your choice, whatever. But I personally did not want to terminate my pregnancy. I knew who my daughter was, and in my heart, I knew that she was strong enough to be able to tackle all of life's challenges. So I decided to continue my pregnancy. Anyways, I had so much prenatal care. I've stated before, my anxiety throughout my pregnancy, especially when I found out that my daughter was sick, it just skyrocketed. And I want to say that I never thought I'd dealt with anxiety before I was pregnant, and I don't know if my postpartum anxiety just went crazy, but it my anxiety was terrible, and it kind of still is terrible. But anyways, I can get into that in another video. But what I will say is that my daughter was checked very, very often. Like as soon as you could get an ultrasound done, I was getting ultrasound done, I think every other week or every week. And they were checking her weight, her heart rate, her head size, her lung capacity. Like they were checking every single thing you wanted. And I even got a couple 3D pictures because we just were getting that many checks. So I'm so grateful because I got all the care and affirmation I needed very often, enough to make sure I felt comfortable in my pregnancy. And I cannot imagine if I didn't get that as often as I did. And I am so terrified for when I have my next kid, how I will have to navigate my pregnancy and my ultrasound journey, because I won't get as much doctor visits as I did with Graylin and as much detail as I did. Ways we did go to another specialty hospital in Cincinnati, and they did it all. They were going to be our birthing hospital. We were going to be transferred down there when I was 35, I think 34 weeks pregnant, and we were going to just adjust and move into the Ronald McDonald House and live there until Grilling came, and then obviously stay there after she was born and through her medical treatments. But the day before we were supposed to drive to Cincinnati, which is from us is about 3 hours. I'm gonna fudge that time a little bit so people aren't looking up where I live, but it's a decent drive. And so the day before that, I woke up and Graylin broke my water. And when I say it wasn't a trickle, because her dad was like, "Are you sure you didn't pee on yourself?" Because he was like kind of asleep when I said it. And I was like, "No, like, look at this." And he woke up and he said, "I never seen so much water before in my life." So, whatever, we get in the car and I'm just pouring amniotic fluid. Obviously, guys, now I'm about to jump into my birth story. So we go to this hospital, and this is the hospital by my house. So I'm not going to mention what the hospital is, what the name of the hospital, anything. So we go to this hospital, and it's not a specialty hospital. It's not a super like high tech level 4 hospital, which is what Graylin really needed. So anyways, I was very scared because she was very early. She wasn't 25 weeks or anything, but she was 34 weeks and she was already medically complex. So I was very worried about her weight, worried about if she was big enough to be able to get the medical interventions needed for her to be successful in life. So we go to this hospital, and I'm crying and I'm calling my mom, and I live 2 hours away from my mom. So she's like, "I can't do anything about it. I'm so sorry. I love you. I wish you the best," whatever. So we go to the hospital, and there I get back to the waiting room or whatever. I get back to the labor delivery unit, which I had to get wheeled all over this poor hospital, and I'm just pouring fluid out of me. It was crazy. So I go to this bed, and they're talking, and they're like, "Okay, we know, Graylin, your baby has a lot of medical stuff going on, and she is supposed to be delivered at a specialty hospital. What are the odds she comes the day before you're supposed to go down there?" Thank God that she didn't come the day we were driving down there, and then we were in the middle of the road, and I was having that going on. So whatever. They test me for amniotic fluid, even though they knew that this was not pee. They knew it was amniotic fluid. It was involuntarily falling out of me, but whatever. They test it. It comes back that it's amniotic fluid. They're like, "You're losing so much that you probably are delivering this baby today. There's no stitching up your cervix. Like, you're probably going to deliver this baby in the next couple hours." So they give me a shot to stop everything, because I was at a hospital that obviously was not equipped for my daughter's situation. They go call Cincinnati and U of M, and those are the two hospitals that are specialty hospitals that are closest to me, which are not even closest to me. So U of M, which is a hospital I didn't know that they were so good. I want to say shout out to U of M. It was nothing but God. But the most traumatizing part of my whole birthing experience. When I was sitting in the bed at this other hospital that was not equipped for my daughter's situation, the doctor walks in and she goes, "So here's the deal. I don't have a bed for you at U of M, and Cincinnati doesn't have an ECMO machine available for if your daughter needs it. So you talked about palliative care before on and in your records we can see that you've talked to a palliative care team. So how about you stay here? We try to provide as much medical attention for you as possible, and if it doesn't work, we just let nature take its course, and we provide you the support that you need for your daughter to be able to love on her as much as you want after she passes." And at that point, her dad had stepped out the room, so I was alone with that information. And like she just said, "Do you want ice cream or cookies?" She literally goes, "How do you feel about that?" Instantly, like didn't even give me a second to process. Like I sobbed so hard. She just was like, "Oh my God, hold on a second. Somebody's calling me. Can you give me a second? I'm gonna come back and I'll be right back." You think about what I just said. And so she comes back, not even 5 seconds later, and she's like, "They have a bed for you at U of M. We're gonna get you ready and get you processed so you can get there, so they can take care of your baby." And I still sobbed because the thought of somebody telling me that I should just let my baby pass naturally just made me like crumble inside, and it like the reality of how severe her situation was kind of set in for me. And I say this to say that there are so many more CDH cases that are way more severe than my daughter's was, but that right there like shook me to my core. Like I've never felt more shook than that moment right there. So anyways, her dad comes back in and my eyes are bloodshot red, like I've been sobbing. And he's like, "Are you okay? Like what the heck just happened?" And I explained, because he's like hearing the doctor say like we're getting transferred. So he's like, "Why are you crying? Like what's going on?" And mind you, he doesn't know anything that just happened. So I had to explain to him what happened, and he's like trying to calm me down because he obviously came in after the fact. So he like can't understand why I'm like so visibly upset. But after I explained it to him, he completely understood, and he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I just need to get out of this hospital. Like just that alone, I do not want to deliver my child here. I need to go." We get ambulanced to U of M, and I couldn't even think about anything else on our way to the hospital, which was a 45-minute ambulance ride. And I had to pee so bad. I just held my pee for the whole 45 minutes because I don't know why I thought that there was a bathroom on the ambulance. So I didn't pee before I left. And I just held it for the whole 45 minutes. And the ambulance driver, he was like a nurse because I had an IV. So he was like, it had to be a nurse there. And he was like, "You can just pee. Like, you have so much amniotic fluid that we wouldn't know the difference." And I was like, all I have right now is my dignity of not peeing on myself. So I will not. I will pee in a toilet. In retrospect, I was so hyper focused on peeing because I was so scared of everything else that was going on. Also, if you notice the difference between this and myself earlier, I had to change my because my mic died. So I'm using something that's not as high quality. But anyways, we get all the way to the hospital and we were waiting for like 15 minutes, and I was like, "I just need you guys to take me to a bathroom. Like I just need to go to a bathroom, any bathroom, anywhere, please." So anyways, they get us to our room. We do an ultrasound on Graylin, another one. They're like, "Oh my God, mom, she looks like she's 5 pounds plus. This is perfect. She is able to get on ECMO if she needs. Like if she needs ECMO, we have everything here to best serve her. We will be in the hospital. I mean, we will be in the labor room, and we will take her away as soon as she's born." They gave me the whole rundown. "I'm sorry, mom, you will not be able to have skin to skin to her with her or anything like that. You will not hear her take her first breath because she just needs a immediate medical intervention," and which I understood. So I was not mad about. It's a little devastating, but it is what it is. That is what she needed. So, anyways, they put me on Pitocin because they're like, "We need you to get this baby out. You lost too much fluid for her to stay in there." So they put me on a Pitocin drip, and I went all the way up and all the way back down, and then I had to go all the way up there again, like all the way up the scale, because I was just not dilating. Like it was taking too much. I did end up getting the epidural because I was just in a lot of pain. It was terrible. I think I got the epidural at like 3 centimeters because I was done. Like I could not experience anymore. And my epidural actually was not working. So I actually had the anesthesiologist come back and give me more medication because I had been crying all night. Like, this is not working. I'm still feeling everything. I don't feel just pressure. You need to help me. So she ended up giving me more medication. And kid you not, 2 hours after she gives me the medication, I feel the shift of the pain go from my tummy area to my lady bits, and it just felt like this intense pressure. And I told her dad, and I was like, look, I don't want you to look because I'm scared, but I feel something weird going on down there. Like, I need you to call the doctor. So the nurse comes and she's like, the doctor will be in here in a couple hours to check you again. I'm sure you're just feeling the pressure because now your pain is turned into pressure. So I'm sure you're just feeling that. So she lifts up my thing. She's like, I have to change all your bedding to make sure to get you in something clean and that's not wet. So she lifts up the sheet and is like, the baby's on a perineum. I don't know what a perineum is. I never looked it up because I'm just terrified at the fact that she was like halfway out of me. So they don't in this hospital you deliver in the OR because it's a specialty hospital. People, they go there because they have high risk babies. So they roll me around the corner. They throw her dad the scrubs. They're like, Dad, hurry up and get dressed. This baby will probably be here in one push. So they roll me around the corner, and they literally, as they were going to lift me out of the bed, and they lift the blanket off me to be able to put me in the other bed, and the baby Braylon was on the bed. She was already born. And so they literally was like, they lift her up, and I just see this purple baby, and they're like, this nurse, she did not know Graylin had medical complexity, so she's like, am I supposed to be stimulating this baby? And the next thing you know, you hear the NICU doctor goes, do not stimulate that baby. She needs to be intubated immediately. Bring her over here. So they take her away, and then I push one push, out my placenta comes. So that is my birth story. And I had the simplest birth that I feel like my next kid is going to tear me into two, because I literally had to push one time to push my placenta out, and Graylin was already out. I didn't have to do any work. I didn't have to feel her crowning. I didn't have to feel the ring of fire. I felt none of that. So my next kid, they're probably going to tear me a new one. So I'm severely concerned about that. But also, I healed very easily and quickly. I had one stitch, and the doctor was like, I don't really need to give you this stitch, but I'm going to give it to you just for healing purposes. I feel like you would be fine if you didn't have this stitch. But anyways, I got one stitch, and I was pretty fine. I was up and moving after my epidural wore off. I was like, let's go down to see my baby. I'm ready. So that is my birth story, and this is my podcast, and this is a little intro to me as a medical mom. My daughter has a Trach, a Gtube, and a vent, and she is on all of that 24/7. 7 days a week, I'm a stay-at-home mom with her. I take her to all her doctor's appointments, obviously with the company of her dad, but I am her primary care provider. So this is a podcast where I will be sitting and chatting with you guys when I have a late night with no night nurse, and I have to stay up anyways to take care of Graylin, and I have a little bit more time and free energy on my hands to be able to record this for you guys. So hopefully I reach at least one medical mom. That's all I want. One medical mom who wants to hear late night chit chats from me. And hopefully you guys enjoy this first episode. Let me know anything you guys want to hear me talk about, because I am so excited for this. So excited for you guys. And if you stay to this end of this podcast, make sure you leave me a like, and maybe follow or subscribe or whatever service you're on. Make sure you hit that notification thing so you can be able to be updated when I post new podcasts. Thank you guys. Bye.